This seems to be substantially larger than any FACT speaker that's gone before. What happened? Why did it suddenly explode?
Well, we wanted to produce a flagship FACT, really. Probably 5 years ago we started talking about this. And really, after Oliver's team started on the project, you know, quite a few new technologies kind of came to light, and the project grew, really, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was a lot of input from customers asking for a product, something like this, which also kind of pointed us in that direction.
Yeah, yeah.
But surely you had something like this in the sort of SE range, in the sort of Pro range?
Of this size?
Didn't you?
Yeah, the format. Yeah, I mean the format of it is similar. I think the problem with the SE range is that, you know, it's been around a long time and it's been evolving and developing over the years. And to sort of make a sort of real major jump forward in passive speakers, you really need to start from the beginning again, and that's what Oliver and his team really did.
Right.
If we just like upgraded the drivers or the crossover or the cabinets in the SE series, you really wouldn't have reaped the rewards of, you know, the performance, whereas you needed to bring every element up to a new level. So Oliver really started with a blank sheet of paper, really. I mean, we've built on our experience, obviously, over the 25 years, but it was time to start again.
Sure.
Yeah.
What sort of new technologies are there in the speaker?
Literally taking it from the top. You can see the laminaire fins up at the top, which was a technology that we had developed for the 25 series. So that's been applied to this design. The styling of them is slightly different, and the way that they were optimized for this design gives them the unique shape, but the core technology is about the same as the laminar vents on the 25 series.
Yeah.
So the reason we've got them is really due to the new woofers as well, which are very high excursion. So they put a lot of pressure into the box. And I think we've discussed this before with the 25 series. The high pressure box designs, transmission line designs even, have quite a high velocity at the vent, hence the reason for the laminate.
Yeah. And why the flat drivers on this one? Is that just a sort of faceplate on a regular cone?
No. The cone, there is no cone. It is a flat piston drive unit. We wanted these. It's a very stiff material. It's 2 layers of carbon fibre with a Rowcell well, it's some kind of foam core filling, which gives it, because it's a sandwich material, it gives it extreme stiffness, and we can also make it extremely thin, which just means that packaging behind it in the chassis allows you to have the high excursion.
Right. Did you develop that driver from the ground up, have you?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
The chassis is something that we have used a long time ago in the past, but everything else apart from that is all brand new and developed specifically for this.
And is that?
We've used sort of fiberglass and carbon fibre in the past for flat woofers, and they have given us the, you know, that tactile base because they're so stiff that we wanted. But these are quite different to the flat woofers that we've used before in the way Oliver's just described, in the way that they're constructed. They're much thinner, which allows the drive unit to move much further.
Yeah, exactly. And the reason we obviously want them to be really stiff is so that they aren't deforming under the high excursions and the high pressures.
Yeah.
Sure.
And part of the design brief was to continue the FACT look, which was a very narrow, tall speaker. So I'm smiling while I say less obtrusive because it's such a large speaker, but it's a much more elegant shape for the home rather than perhaps the SE, which is quite a much wider, chunkier looking speaker, if you like.
Right. Yeah.
So hence the use of double woofers like the FACT 12 to keep that narrowness, and all part of keeping the dispersion wide over the whole frequency response.
This mid and tweeter pod section, which we're calling the nest, this is all one piece of aluminium. The mid-range is a brand new design. We started off developing from our PMC 75, which is the mid-range that we've had for a while. Which is a very
the one on the Pro range.
Design. Yeah. Exactly, yeah. Except for on this model, we've sort of bored a hole through the pole piece, so that the rear reflections from the dome can now be vented into the chamber on the back, which just brings down the distortion of the drive unit even more. So moving up to the HF unit, that's again another new unit. This one is mounted on a suspension
Okay.
to isolate it from the mid-range panel. It's a 90mm dome, goes up to 30 kilohertz.
Why have that aluminium section there?
Well, what I wanted to do was put the mid-range and tweeter without so much of a baffle around it to remove any kind of coloration.
Right.
So hence this kind of sort of elaborate design. Also, the other important thing to note about this is that this whole midsection is floating. It's sitting on silicon mounts, so that isolates it from the cabinet and the vibrations from the LF section.
Yeah.
What's going on with these sort of side panels? They're quite unusual. They appear to be sort of detached in a way from the actual box.
On the theme of anti-vibration, looking at the vibration that you can have coming off the side panels of the cabinet, although it's a transmission line, so we've got lots of bracing in the box, and so the side panel resonance is pretty minimal, to completely eradicate it and take it down to nothing. We've hung these on the side of the box, so they're attached with 12 rubber mounts, and they essentially act as a tune mass damper. So the mass of this oscillates in opposing phase to any kind of vibration that you would have from the panels on the side of the cabinets. So you don't have any sound essentially coming off the side of the cabinets, which could colour the image.
Yeah.
So this is quite a nice solution to minimising the resonances, but without making the whole thing really bulky and heavy, or heavier anyway.
So what have you done with the crossover? Is it unusual in any way?
It's fairly unusual for us that we've tucked it away down in the plinth. So it's in a separate housing to the rest of the speaker, and it's also suspended on anti-vibration grommets, kind of getting the theme here with the vibration attention to detail. It's a 24 dB per octave slopes, which is fairly typical for PMC. It has HF and LF switches.
Oh, right.
Again, that's not necessarily uncommon, because for the FACT ranges, you remember the FACT 12, we've got the plus and minus on the HF and LF. We've just taken that to another degree of accuracy with the way it's implemented on this crossover.
Because you can actually boost the bass on this one, I believe.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, and it's a sub 100 hertz. You can boost or cut it, which means that typically that's a really useful kind of area for integrating into rooms.
All the work you've done on isolation, is that something you've been able to measure?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, all the way through it. I mean, we have a couple of different ways of doing it. Mainly, we've used accelerometers. So for the side panels, when we're talking about the development of that, looking for the maximum deflection point on the cabinet without these on, was done iteratively with accelerometers. We had sort of like an idea, but just finding the maximum, and then that's where we've put the mounts. In terms of the mid-range unit, again, tuning the mounts to get the frequency right for the isolation. We put an accelerometer on this, and this is what our demonstration at the back of the river is essentially showing, is how we did the research.
Right.
Just to tune it so that the resonant frequency of this system is low enough, and it offers good isolation above that.
Isolation like this, I mean, it's not only us that have applied that technique, but I think the way we're measuring it to ensure that it really does work is probably more detailed than most companies, really, because we can prove that isolation actually works. It's not just a feature, if you like, for the sake of it, but it does actually work. It certainly, when you listen to them, you can hear that clarity and another sort of veil being removed from the sound, you know.